Welcome to your Unique Brilliance podcast with Nicola Salter, bringing you a weekly fresh flow of guidance, inspirations, powerful tips, and conversations designed to help you create your vision, discover your greatest diamond potential, and begin living the life you want. This is about empowering your truth, your choice, and your voice. Hello and welcome back to your Unique Brilliance podcast with me, Nicola Salter, here in Los Angeles. And today we're going to talk about the 4 typical fear factors that sabotage us and hold us victim to our emotions and how we can overcome these and beat them. And I've got some great, powerful tips that I'm really excited to share with you. In addition, we have our guest today, who is Sarah Ghattas, and she's also going to tell us how she overcame some of her self-sabotage when her life was going down the rabbit hole until she took back control and stepped outside of her comfort zone as she shares with us her journey with debt, divorce, and health. It's a really interesting interview, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Since we are talking about self-sabotage today, I would like us to just shift away from that energy for a moment into something a little bit more positive. And let's just take a moment to reflect on something you want to celebrate for yourself this week. Which facet of yourself did you polish this week? Was it your home, your personal life, your family? Which part of your beautiful diamond self did you polish this week? There's just a few seconds here or moments to enjoy and savor what you did for yourself. Maybe you handled something differently. Maybe you're working on committing to creating more renewing emotions in your life. Maybe less arguments or taking more relaxation for yourself. Maybe you even thought about creating a new side gig or business. Whatever it is, celebrate, and I celebrate you. And while you're reflecting on this for a moment, I'm just about to dive into my second cup of rooibos tea and savor this beautiful earthy flavor of this tea. And I've just put a hint of honey in there too. And rooibos tea is from South Africa, and we call it red bush tea actually in England, in Great Britain, but it's from South Africa, and it's been drank for years and years and years, and I write about it in my book because it is so good for relieving stress and is wonderful for your immune system. So you can read more about rooibos tea in my book, Hot Water for Tea, which you'll find on Amazon, which I hope you will enjoy. So let's begin with these 4 key tips that I would like to share with you today. 4 key tips to identify sabotaging emotions, the main sabotaging emotions that most of us have, and what are the 4 key tips for turning these around. And I've seen these 4 main emotions pop up over and over again with the clients that I've been mentoring for these last 20-odd years, and they're all common emotions and nothing to be ashamed of or feel guilty about. We all have these. I have had these continuously on and off from time to time. It's part of a cycle of life, and there are tools and techniques to move away from them. But today we're actually just going to look at identifying them and a couple of tips on how you can turn them around. The first overriding emotion that can self-sabotage us is this fear of rejection. And quite often it can happen when we are excited to create a service or a product or an offering, do something new for ourselves, and then we step into that, what if no one wants this? What if no one wants to buy this? What if they don't like me? Okay, this is a very typical emotion that will self-sabotage us, and it's called the fear of rejection. And these are all common emotions, like I said, that feel very true for us at one time or another. But it is just the brain giving you a warning, because the brain wants you to stay safe and cozy in your environment in case there's a risk to your life. So the brain is actually going to self-sabotage you and put and sow that seed of doubt in your mind. And seriously, that's how hardwired we are. Those feelings of rejection that you are anticipating are possibly the result of an experience you've had back in the past. And I like to call this post-traumatic stress, from an event and a memory that you created from something that didn't work out in your favor. And the more you've thought about that event and the more you believed it to be true, whenever a similar circumstance appears or happens to you right now in this moment, you get triggered and you go to that place of self-sabotage of, of, what if they don't like me? What if someone else is doing this better than me? And what if no one wants to buy this? Just some of those emotions of being fearful of rejection. So I like to recommend, in terms of turning this around, look at where those emotions are coming from. And if you can track back to where that emotion started, revisit that experience that generated that reaction and make the choice either to stay in the same pattern, if you want, if you enjoy being in that rejection pattern, or to move forward and to identify what it is that triggers you. Okay, so somewhere back in the mix, something has come up to trigger that feeling. Maybe it's from someone saying something to you and you lost your self-confidence, or perhaps you lost some of your self-esteem, but you got triggered. So track back and try and find out where that fear of rejection is coming from, and then make the choice. Make a powerful choice to make the change. You can even say to yourself, I am power. I have choices. I can change this, literally, and your brain will go, okay. If you can do that over and over again, repetition is the best way of telling the brain something new so it comes to believe it. All right, now one of the second overriding emotions that many of us have that will self-sabotage us is what I call, and many of us call, the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome. Even when women have become hugely successful, they will feel that they're not good enough, not educated enough, not experienced enough, and sometimes will even feel like a fraud. And I know it sounds so sad and it's so silly when you think about it, but these are emotions deep down that are carved out within us over a period of time that can prevent you from turning an idea into something very beautiful and tangible that will also make a difference to others. So to turn this around, I want you to consider your position here of feeling a fraud as one of unkindness to others. I mean, what you're really saying is that you don't have the right to shine and that you don't trust yourself. So you're holding back on others. You're holding back on how others could see you, and you are almost trying to control what they think about you. Okay, you're holding back on their enjoyment and their growth, and I know this is a little blunt, but this might help you to turn it around. By feeling the imposter, you actually inspire others through all the work you've done and the self-work that you've done. You inspire and motivate others in your circle, and you may not believe that, but you do. We each inspire and motivate each other, and other people in our tribe or our circle want to see that. They want to see you shine. They want to know that you are feeling good enough and you are loving what you do. And does it really matter if you're not educated enough? If you're actually doing what you love, making a difference, and you're successful at it? Does it really matter if you're not educated? I doubt it. So that imposter syndrome and turning it around into something of, hang on a second, I'm actually, by not shining and showing my light, I'm not helping other people do the same. The third emotion, which is very common for most of us, unfortunately, is the lack of belief in ourselves, right? It's a little similar to the imposter syndrome, but in this situation, there's just nothing more annoying than a woman who has got so much to offer, so much wisdom and knowledge and passion, and then she refuses to speak up or share her opinion or her offering or service because of her lack of belief in herself. And, you know, self-doubt is going to be there for many of us. It's just a pattern that most of us have. And unless we've been super fortunate enough as we were growing up to have someone in our corner continuously promoting us and helping us believe in ourselves that we can achieve whatever we want, as long as it's in alignment with who we are. So in terms of self-doubt, push through it anyway, especially if you are creating something new in your life. You've taken the steps to create or birth a new creation in the world. Maybe it's a poem, maybe it's a book, maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service. And you're already working on building that offering out. You understand what your money values are, and you really are looking at all the life experiences that you've had and how these feed into this offering that you're creating and how unique you are. And you know the truth of this product, you know the truth of this book, for example. And sometimes it's the actual product or offering or service that you are creating that will help you believe in yourself. So by creating something externally outside of ourselves, we'll reflect back and allow us to see, wow, this is actually quite good. That happened to me with my book. This is not an ego promotion here. This is one actually of self-observation where I was actually quite surprised. I wrote my book, I put it to one side, it was published, everything was great. And then I didn't pick it up and read it for a number of months. Actually, it was almost a year. And then I did happen to pick it up one day because I was looking for something. I was going through it. I was like, wow, this is actually quite good. And I'd actually forgotten that I'd written it. And it was a really nice feeling in terms of looking at the research I'd put into it, looking at all the care I'd put into it. And I often look at the mentoring program that I've created as well, and I look at that, and I look at the outcomes that some of the women are getting from the work we're doing together with the techniques and methods and new perspectives, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is really good. And it really helps to just instill that belief in myself. And no one else needs to know, but you have that confidence and that self-esteem to keep moving forward. Now, the last emotion that is the most common tends to be a feeling of scatteredness, all right? Being scattered. Us women are super, super, super good at trying to do lots of things all at the same time. And quite often that means we end up either not doing anything except creating more frustration for ourselves, not doing things as properly as we would like to do. And it also means that our life balance gets thrown out of balance because we're busy reacting to everything going on in our life and not really actually feeling fulfilled by what we're doing. So being scattered means often we're running around, as I call like headless chickens running around, in reaction to everything, because as women we're so multi-skilled and amazing at that. We wear so many different hats, as I've said before. We juggle so many different plates. But in order to really turn this around, this scattered feeling, and ground yourself, come home to yourself, it's really important to each day identify your life priorities, not just work, but your life priorities. How do you want to live your life? How do you want to live your life today? Identify your life values. What's important to you? How important is it to you? So draw up like 5 values each day. What's important for me today? Okay? How do I want to live today? Do I want to be calm? Do I want peace? Do I want to generate my income and keep focus on this particular offering that I'm creating or my job that I'm doing and then have one social outing tonight? What is the values that you have in your life today? And as you identify your life values every day and for the year or for the month, these will help you stay centered and concentrate on your direction and your goals so that you can stay excited about how you want to live. Because life isn't just about work, is it? It's about working, loving what you do, and then living how you really want to live and thriving. And talking of thriving, I would love now to turn to Sarah and hear how she made some new choices for herself and listen to how she created a whole new life, relationship and career and is now motivating other women who are feeling stuck in their lives and afraid to take a first step and supporting them to do this. Well, I am absolutely delighted to have with me today Sarah Ghattas. And Sarah and I met this year at the Women's Expo, and I was very fortunate for her to come on board with me and for her to do the Redefine Yourself program. And Sarah, thank you for joining us. It's really nice to have you.
Well, thank you, Nicola. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a great honor. And I'm just going to share with everyone a little bit about you. Is that okay?
Of course, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So Sarah's from England. She grew up in a tiny village in the English countryside and made her way to Los Angeles to become a very successful finance executive at a major Hollywood film studio. Sarah is no stranger to making significant life changes in her life, and I would say and confirm that she's definitely mastered the art of transformation. She's spent 16 years in finance in the corporate world and is currently a vice president at the film studio. She's also starting her new venture, and this is dedicated to the empowerment of women using both her professional and personal experiences to help inspire and guide other women to be bold, visionary, and create the life that they choose. I think that's fantastic. Her initial focus is about providing coaching to women to help them achieve financial freedom. And she's also amazingly passionate about giving back to the community. And for the last 5 years, she's been serving on the board of Girls on the Run of LA County, which is a non-profit dedicated to instilling self-confidence in young girls. That's amazing, Sarah. I don't know how you have the time to do all of this.
Well, thank you, Nicola. Thank you for that introduction.
It was a pleasure. So I would love for you to share with us what it was like going through these experiences that have inspired you to begin this new venture that you want to share with other women.
Sure. So let me start out by painting a picture. I was 33 years old, and I had a great career that I was very successful in. But, you know, I didn't really recognize that at the time. I'm sure, based on what you talked about earlier, I really have imposter syndrome. So everything, you know, seemed to be going great in my career, but in my personal life, you know, things were not really that great. In 2011, I found myself in the situation of weighing 210 pounds. And bearing in mind, I'm only 5'2", so that's quite a lot for someone that's pretty short. I smoked, I wasn't happy in my marriage, and I also had a bunch of unsecured debt. So essentially I was heading towards my, you know, mid-30s, and I didn't really know who I was. I wasn't really living my life. I was just kind of going through the motions, and I also was depressed and anxious. And so the only real thing that was going well was my career, and I did have a job that I loved, but that was really my main focus in life at the time.
Okay, that was your driving force. So looking back, how do you think your life actually got you to that place that you just described? Was there anything in particular?
I would say there's a lot of different things.
Okay.
It goes back to a lot of unresolved issues from earlier in my life. But really, it boiled down to I had a lack of self-esteem and self-confidence, which is, I think, typically more common in women than in men. I didn't really have any understanding of self-love and self-worth. I tended to derive my worth from my achievements, either that be at school when I was younger or at work. I didn't get my own approval. And I also suffered from a lot of perfectionism. And so I think really lacking all of these kind of self-love, self-care tools took a toll on me when I moved to the US, because it was a huge move and it was hard. I'd left my family. I was working a job that required very long hours, eating a lot, wasn't sleeping enough, and kind of that's really when I gained weight.
Okay, yeah, that's rather a large cocktail of things all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
That's massive. I mean, it's understandable that was going to weigh you down. Yeah. And, I want to also thank you for sharing this and being so candid and transparent for our listeners, because so many of us have similar situations going on and are often quite hesitant to share this with each other, because in this day and age there does seem to be that need for perfectionism and that driving force to be perfect, which puts so much pressure on us and then takes its toll in our daily lives and in many different ways. And I talk about this a lot on the show, about driving for perfectionism and doing that, and more than likely it's better to strive for excellence. Striving for excellence is better than perfectionism. So, and we talk about that more in the show. Now, with all this going on, what did you do for support?
Well, I guess I'm kind of someone that deals with things internally a lot. So I didn't really tell a lot of my friends what I was going through at the time. I did confide in some friends, but mostly I got some external support because I was going through things that nobody else was going through at my age. I was in my early 30s and I was getting a divorce. So it was kind of an isolating experience. But, I saw a therapist. I got coaching for the weight loss. And I joined a running group, which gave me support, to keep motivated there.
Yeah, I mean, exercise keeps you moving, motivated. That's incredible. So you took yourself in hand, literally. You took yourself in hand to make these changes. And I'm curious to know, as I'm sure many others are, was there a pivotal moment that you just knew you had to make this change? What was it? What happened?
Yeah, it was in 2011. My mother had suffered from breast cancer 5 years previous, and that breast cancer came back after she'd been in remission, and the prognosis didn't really look that great. So it kind of made me realize that you only have one body and one life, and you need to take care of that. So within a month of finding that out, I stopped smoking. And I've never smoked since. Funnily enough, my sister also used to smoke. She stopped smoking exactly at the same time. I made a commitment to get healthy, and I signed up for a half marathon, bearing in mind I hadn't ran for over 10 years. I was weighing 200 pounds, and I didn't know how I was going to do the marathon, but I signed up for it. And so that was the first step, I guess. Or one of the first steps. There were other steps.
Oh my
after
gosh.
That.
I'm just sitting here astounded. First of all, just want to acknowledge your mom, and I'm so sorry to hear that. That's great sadness, but at the same time, it seems that you took that and changed that into some kind of motivating force for yourself, which is also a legacy to her, I would say, that you did this and turned it around.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Definitely.
I'm sure she'd be very, very proud of you. And to sign up for half a marathon just like that, I mean, that's extraordinary. I mean, if you haven't run for a long time and then you just do it and then you actually did it, how much training did that take?
Well, I got a training plan. So this is kind of like the first step, for the half marathon. I got a training plan and...
Right.
Broke it down because 0 to 13 miles seemed like kind of a lot. So I got a week-by-week training plan. And, I just took it week by week. I didn't really think about it. And just amazingly, it just kind of built and built. And, I really... Actually, I did a method, run-walk method. So I would run for a minute, I would walk for a minute. And I did the whole first half marathon that I ever did using that method.
Okay.
And it really made it a lot easier, to just break it into little steps like that.
So you were taking steps. And I was going to ask you about the first steps that you took, and that was one of the steps you took. You break it down, basically. Is that right? Into bite-sized pieces?
Exactly.
Okay.
Also with the health came, the eating too. So I went to this weight loss center that were supportive by, measuring me every week, giving me ideas on how to eat better foods. So there I kind of changed my eating habits gradually. I cut out all soda, even diet soda. I reduced portions. I educated myself on what I should be eating to fuel my body for running. And the more I exercised, the less that I craved kind of unhealthy foods because I wanted to put good stuff in my body. So that was the first step in, the health. But there were two other things I needed to get a handle on. The other one was my relationship and then the debt that I was in. So with the relationship, after a couple of months with that, of running and exercising, kind of like a new thing came up for me, which was something that had been really there a long time. And I realized, my marriage was essentially over. So kind of one of the hardest things that I ever really experienced to going through is acknowledging that it was over, and we'd really tried and tried to make it work, but at the end of the day, we knew it was the right thing to do to get a divorce. But it was really scary and painful after 10 years of being together. And I think some ways, sometimes it could have been easier to just, stay together rather than make the choice to separate. But, there was something just missing. So that was kind of the relationship part. So that was another big thing that I made a decision about and a choice in. And then, then after that, there was the debt. Now I was divorced or newly single, and I was by myself. And now I was freaking out about all this debt that I'd accumulated because I had no one to fall back on, My family was 6,000 miles away. And I had a good job, but I was always worried that I was going to lose my job, which kind of was the imposter syndrome coming in, I think, because I was thinking that someone will find out I'm not really good at my job, but that wasn't the case at all. But there was shame also attached with the debt, like I'm an accountant and a finance professional, and how do I have debt? But, the reality is that I am good with numbers. I always know where I was with this situation, but I was just kind of in denial about how it was going to get paid off. And it was an emotional thing. Spending for me was an emotional thing, like filling a void, just like eating was. So on that one, I took a reality check. I looked at the situation, created a plan, and then gradually, chipped away at it to pay it down.
Wow. Okay. You come across as so structured, and then you take something on and you do it. You commit and you take action on it. It's very impressive to hear, and your honesty is amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, the heartbreak around the relationship and moving on and just identifying that in of itself is a very big step. And then taking on the debt and chipping away at the debt. Just a quick question here. How long did it take you to move away from the debt? How long was that?
That actually took 4 years. Okay. So it was a constant, work in progress. It wasn't going to happen overnight. And I think once I told myself, this is not going to happen overnight, then I felt a lot better about it, and I could celebrate little wins, like when I paid a loan off or when I paid a credit card off. So that's fantastic. And you basically framed your brain to a new belief pattern, from what I'm hearing, and pattern that belief system, knowing that this was going to be a long ball vision for you and it wasn't going to happen overnight. And that also gives you a sense of reality, really, and moving out of the illusion around all of this, which is very remarkable. And I also want to ask you, you were taking these steps to move forward. Did you have any fear around any of this as you were moving forward? And to go back to your earlier point about it seemed very structured, it was not structured at the time. I was just kind of like going day by day to try and get through every day as it came. But yeah, I had a lot of fear and emotions. I mentioned shame about the debt. I was anxious. I was scared. I had self-doubt. I was lonely, and it was hard for many years. I doubted my decision to end the relationship on some days. I was afraid of being by myself with no family around.
How did you deal with this? I mean, on a daily basis like that, for everyone listening, how do you get around that? What did you do?
The running really helped. Manage the anxiety and channel the energy, the negative energy. And it gave me self-confidence as well to believe in myself, because I never thought I could run 13 miles. So, and then actually the running helped me stop being a perfectionist, because this was one area where I wasn't trying to be the best at something. In work or school, I'd always try to, be at the top kind of thing. But this one, I was just doing it at my own pace and just trying to finish, and I really enjoyed it, and it was a new experience, not putting that perfection pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And then I did a lot of other things that were taking care of myself, like journaling and meditation, practicing gratitude. And some days I just said, it's okay to cry today. And I shut the door of my office at work and I cried. And then I felt better, So I learned to recognize and experience all the emotions and figure out how to deal with them on any given day.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't allow myself to sit there for too long. I would do something eventually that would change my mood, like, the things I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And the other thing to point out is that before, when I was experiencing these kind of uncomfortable emotions like fear or shame or self-doubt, I would turn to eating or I would have turned to shopping. Whereas now I was kind of doing something different. I was doing things that were good for me.
You just certainly turned this around. And just coming to that point that you made about different emotions coming up every day and stepping into your imperfection and being comfortable with your imperfection is a great way of moving out of perfection, as you just described. Having nuggets of imperfection in your day help you to get comfortable with it's all okay if it's not all perfect all of the time, as I think we just heard there. And that roller coaster that you're on a daily basis, and being able to connect with those emotions and not numb them out or numb them down helps, I think, from what I'm listening to you, to connect to our vulnerability. And there is a huge strength in vulnerability and being honest with ourselves. And that also brings confidence and greater self-awareness. So hearing all of this and looking at your experiences, what is the wisdom? Have you got any wisdom that you would love to share with all of us?
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe that you can put your mind to anything. I really believe that. I would be training for a triathlon and people would say to me, "Oh my God, I could never do that." And I would say to them, a year ago, I used to weigh over 200 pounds and I hadn't exercised in 10 years. And I'm doing it. So you can do anything you put your mind to. You just have to take the first step and put one step in front of the other and keep moving forward. And that's kind of how I approached all of these things. It's kind of subconsciously. You just take little steps, set little goals, and focus on achieving those. I guess another thing is, I would say, this is your journey through life and you shouldn't compare yourself to others. When I was 33 and getting a divorce, nobody else was doing that. All my friends were having kids. So I chose to go down a path that was the best path for me, even though it was kind of isolating and I was afraid. So I say trust yourself and your instincts, because it's rarely wrong.
Yeah, it's never wrong. And also you touched on a good point there about not minding what everybody else is doing. And staying true to yourself, on track and on focus with what's important to you. And I would love to know what you are doing now and how these experiences have impacted your future and feeling fulfilled and what you want to bring to the world. Yeah.
So I can say, well, I'm now happily remarried to a wonderful man who is really my partner on this journey through life. And so we're looking forward to the next phase of our life.
Wonderful.
Together. But earlier this year, I was kind of in a stuck place again, and I was a bit of a crossroads, mostly now in reference to my career, which is funny because that's been the one consistent thing throughout all of this.
Right.
But my priorities have changed because of my life experiences, and what's important to me now is different. So for the last few years, I've really found a lot of joy from mentoring people at work, and particularly women. And I've really, that's more been about navigating their career at work. But I've been thinking about ways I can inspire other women to, have the courage to make changes. And I've seen other people around me be inspired by what I've done, and they've taken action in their own lives. So I want to try and use this for the better. So when I met you at that expo, it was really perfect timing. even though I don't believe it was necessarily a coincidence, because I think when you create yourself goals and visions, you start to see opportunities unfold. So I think I was really looking for someone like you for support.
Thank you.
But, you gave me great structure and guidance on how to pivot in my career. And so I'm now starting out, coaching other women. So to start with, financial coaching. So whether that be helping women who are in debt or maybe going through a divorce and they've never really had to deal with the finances, or, maybe they just need help managing their money, or they're starting out on an entrepreneurial journey and they don't really understand finance.
Right.
That's where I want to focus right now. So, being in control of finances is really a powerful tool. So I think it's important for women to feel empowered about their money and not intimidated by it.
That's fantastic, and I agree with you. There's, women are improving in terms of their management of their money, but everything you've brought up over the last 20 minutes is so relevant in how we can emotionally overspend to fill holes and gaps within ourselves, and not even see that as we're doing it, and then create great debt for ourselves, right? And to have somebody by your side like yourself who's actually experienced that roller coaster and who's now turned it around and has got even greater freedom because you got a handle on your money and you made a commitment to create more balance and structure for yourself is a huge asset for someone to have. You're not just coming in and showing them some ideas of what might work for them. It seems to me that you're taking on board everything about them, their lifestyle, their emotions, who they are, what's going to work for them. Is that right? And what's a fit for them to tailor something that's going to really be supportive.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the end result is the debt. Like, that's the effect. It's not the cause. There's something else underlying that's causing the reason why you're in that situation. So I really want to look at it from a holistic approach with my own experience as a guide too. So
yeah, you're like the holistic money minder. That's fantastic. And just working with Sarah to help her reach this point in her life and what she wants to be able to create was also a great honor and gift for me to watch her organically reveal these aspects of herself and then use these experiences that she could then use and put forward into the world to make a difference. So it's been a wonderful journey to walk alongside you too. So thank you for choosing me. I was very, very grateful to work with you, and
likewise.
Very much. And I'm so thank you. I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen. And where can we find out more information about you, Sarah?
So you can go to my website, which is sarahghattas.com. That's SarahGhattas.
Okay.
And then I have my Instagram, which is Sarah J. Ghattas.
Wonderful. Okay, so we all wish you amazing success. I hope that you're going to come back on the show later on in the series to share with us what's been going on for you and how you've been working with women to help manage their finances and whatever else has come up for you. We would love to hear. I can't thank you enough for being honest today. As I said, transparent, inspiring us all to be okay with the fact that it's okay not to be okay and to have issues in our life and to show us how you turned it around. I know each and every one of us is so individual and unique, and we all have that amazing, unique brilliance. So I encourage all of you to take heed of Sarah's words, motivations and inspirations, and to say that all of us can do this if we commit to this and take those bite-sized steps to do it. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Nicola. It's been wonderful to be on.
Thank you for listening to Your Unique Brilliance podcast. And if you want to define your brilliance and redefine your diamond potential, schedule a personal consultation with me to discover just how you can do that at nicolasalter.com. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to the show so you will never miss an episode. And if you found value in the show, I would appreciate a rating on iTunes or simply tell a friend. That would be amazing. You are amazing. Have an empowered week, everyone.